Okay guys, so today I have a new video for you on how to use the Millennium cards with Doom Dragon to go into a rank 8, either Zombie Vampire or Photon Lord, and create a huge amount of pressure, also dig for engine or insulate your plays. I think this is actually an excellent engine. It's very strong. If Moon of the Closed Heaven isn't banned, it also allows you to go into a Moon for free before you've committed anything else. So not only do you get like a Zombie Vampire, but you can also go into a Moon. This is being played on Master Duel, I just found out, by quite a lot of players. You do need Doom Dragon for this to work, which came out very recently for us in the TCG. Now, this engine is not good into Detonator. Shocking. Depending on the ban list, maybe that will be still a problem or less of a problem, but you basically have to use non-engine to deal with Detonator. So now that it's out of the way, let me show you the actual combo lines. This is not a deck profile video. I'll be going back to my regular content in about a week from now. Okay, so if you draw Sengengin, which is probably the best one to draw, ignoring the rest of your hand, Sengengin, this is the one that can place himself, and then because you're not playing the actual Millennium cards, you will have to pay 2,000 life points to use these effects from the spell and trap zone, so they're treated as continuous spells, which is why you can also send them for free if you need to. And this one gives you any other Millennium monster. You can even search himself, which comes up sometimes. But we're going to go for the Golem. So this one can also place himself. They both place themselves as continuous spells. But instead of searching another monster, this one searches the field spell. So he will place himself here, and then he will bring himself out, paying another 2,000 to search for the Wedju Temple. So the Wedju Temple places a monster from your hand, and then another Millennium monster from your deck. And then this doesn't really do anything else after that, but it is, I guess, kind of like a free send for your white forest stuff, so it's somewhat relevant for card economy, just as like a niche thing. Most importantly, right now, you have two monsters that are face up in the spell and trap zone, which means you can summon the Doom Dragon. So this card, you normally would never actually normally fusion summon it, but you can special summon it by sending two face up monster cards from your spell and trap zone to the graveyard. And then if it's special summoned, you can, so this is optional, target a face-up monster on the field, place it face-up in its owner's spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. So obviously, if you were to get this far, either because maybe you'd use like a dark rule or something like that, or you're in like a grind, or you've already gone through your other engine or whatever, this is a pretty decent spot removal against your opponent. This also, in Alliance Insight, if you play this card, will come up with the new Mystic Poplar card, because that will also place two monsters, and so you can use those to summon Doom Dragon there. And that will be useful for other types of ladders, like going into Synchro 12s. But anyhow, we're just using it here for a body, so we're turning these two bodies here into the Doom Dragon, so the Doom Dragon and the Sengengin can go into Zombie Vampire. And then the Zombie Vampire will mill and hit whatever, so hypothetically, let's say we hit a Sylvie and we search off the Sylvie, that's kind of besides the point of this, but you are going to get a free body. Like, it's basically 100%, more or less 100%, that you're going to at least summon somebody. If you were playing a deck where you haven't drawn an engine piece, unless you're playing a garbage deck, the chance of you not hitting an engine piece is also pretty close to zero. But really, this is more like it forces your opponent to interact in some way, because you have 4 cards in hand and you have 4 cards on field, but they usually wouldn't allow Zombie Vampire to resolve. So at this point, you now can also just go into Closed Heaven, for example, and then you can, you'll have whatever your engine piece was on board. So this is kind of like a safe type of play where, hypothetically, if you had Special to Sylvie and then you got the search off of it, you're going to do your Closed Heaven line before you continue committing to your engine. So that's pretty good. If you draw the Golem, it still works in basically the same way, where you place the Golem, which gives you the Temple, and then the Temple places a monster from hand. So this is conditional on having a monster in hand to place. That gives you Sengengin, which summons itself out and then can search another Sengengin. And very important to remember is that because Sengengin was placed off of the Temple, and he wasn't placed off his own effect, because Sengengin can search himself, you can still place himself there to bring out the Doom Dragon, so that you have 2 level 8s, including the Sengengin on the field. And so then you can still make the Zombie Vampire, you can mill, you special out whatever, if it's a Sylvie you search, or whatever it is that you're doing, and then you can still go into Moon of the Closed Heaven and you have your additional body on field. The worst scenario is if you start with the Temple, because now you immediately have to use a monster from hand, and then that will give you, like, the Sengengin, which will give you the Golem, You have to do it this way because if you Golem now and search the field spell, you already use the field spell, so you have to go for the Sang Engine first, and then you place that. And now the difference here is that you don't have the additional body, so you if you play more field spells, you can search another field spell, but I don't know why you would want to do that because it's probably the worst one. Like, it's not a brick. There are no bricks in this engine at all, but it's still the worst one. So now you get the zombie vampire, and again, you do the same thing, and you special out whatever. And you still could go into closed heaven from here. It's just that now you are one body down, but you're still not really committing to your engine at this point. So, yeah, in terms of the like what the deck might look like, you do have to commit a few slots to your extra deck. So the Doom Dragon is a core part of it. The Zombie Vampire, I would say, is probably the other core part of it, because whether you're going first or second, or even if you've already drawn engine, this is still pressure and it's still extension without committing any normal summon or anything like that at all. But I think that most people who play this will probably also want Photon Lord just in case. Maybe you have multiple engine pieces in hand, so it's not like if you summon Photon Lord, normal summon Sylvie, you'll still lose to an Imperm. You know, like maybe you have some other extension there, and then Photon Lord seems like maybe a safer type of play. Obviously, this works in like any deck that wants to play this, but I kind of like it in White Forest because we're going to have, especially post-Alliance Insight, a ton of level 8s that we can use for other things, like the new Diabell cards. And we also have better options for going into 12s, like the Execute Dragon, and then possible Crimson Dragon into Blazar plays. So this engine in White Forest, I think, is worth considering. It's also worth considering in Centurion variants, which I will revisit shortly. It does lose to Detonator, but so do most decks. So anyhow, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.